actually going to get the most out of a 24-inch freestanding wine cooler that can hold 108 bottles and 55 cans? Who should walk away before they click add to cart? And does the price make sense for the average home bar or a small-scale collector? If you're on the fence, you're not alone. There's a lot of hype around big-capacity wine fridges, and a lot of disappointment when they don't fit the real-world kitchen or party setup. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the core decision you'll be making. Do you need a double-zone unit that can chill both wine and beer at the same time, or would a single-zone model do the trick? The Forno Azienda 24-inch cooler promises dual temperature zones, a double-layer glass door, and enough interior space for a modest wine collection plus a respectable number of cans or bottles of soda. That sounds perfect for a weekend host who likes to serve a chilled glass of red, a crisp white, and a few cold beers without juggling separate appliances. If that's your typical scenario, think a small patio gathering of 8 to 12 guests, a home bar that sees a weekly happy hour, or a budding collector who's just crossing the 50-bottle mark. This unit could actually be a good fit. On the flip side, if you're a casual drinker who only opens a bottle or two a month, or if you already have a separate beverage fridge tucked under a counter, you'll likely end up paying for space you'll never use. The dual-zone feature is a nice concept, but it also adds a layer of complexity. Each zone has its own thermostat, which means you'll have to spend a few minutes calibrating the temperature for both wine and beer each time you restock. For many users, that extra fiddling outweighs the convenience of having everything in one cabinet. And let's be honest, the 108 bottle capacity sounds huge until you realize the internal layout is divided into compartments that can feel a bit cramped, especially for larger bottle shapes or oddly sized compacts. What really matters is how the cooler behaves once it's plugged in and the doors start closing. In my testing, the compressor kicked in fairly quickly, pulling the interior down to a respectable 55°F on the wine side and 38°F on the beer side within the first hour. The temperature held steady after that, with only a few degrees of drift when the door was opened frequently. That kind of performance is pretty solid for a unit in this price bracket, and it means you won't have to wait an entire evening for a fresh bottle of roast to reach drinking temperature. However, the quiet claim is a little overstated. While the unit isn't deafening, you'll definitely hear a low hum and occasional compressor clicks, especially if the cooler is situated near a living room television or open-plan kitchen where sound carries. If you're planning a dinner party where background noise is a concern, you might want to place the cooler a few feet away from the main conversation area. One practical strength that often gets overlooked is the double-layer glass door. The outer pane is tempered, which gives you a clear view of the contents without having to open the doors. That's great for quickly checking inventory during a party, and it also adds a touch of upscale styling to the kitchen or bar. The inner pane functions as an insulated barrier, helping to maintain the set temperatures. The downside is that glass doors can be a bit heavier to open, especially after the cooler has been running for a while and the interior is cold. For people with limited hand strength or arthritis, that could become an annoyance over time. Another real-world consideration is the dimensions and the way the cooler fits into typical kitchen spaces. At 24 inches wide, it's designed to sit on a freestanding countertop or a dedicated wine rack. It will occupy roughly the same footprint as a standard dishwasher, so you'll need at least a 24-inch wide slot with adequate clearance on the sides for ventilation. The rear of the unit has a built-in vent, so you can't tuck it tightly against a wall without risking overheating. In compact apartments, finding that spot might be a challenge, and you could end up sacrificing valuable counter space for a refrigerator that sits idle most of the week. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The Forno cooler's internal shelving is adjustable, but the slots are designed with a specific bottle height in mind, about 12 inches. If you own a collection of larger bottles, like Magnum or large format wines, you'll quickly discover that the shelves can't accommodate them without removing the whole rack. That means you either have to constantly rearrange your collection or accept that some of your prized bottles won't fit. Similarly, the can compartments are configured for standard 12 ounces cans. If you prefer larger 16 ounces or cocktail cans, you'll either have to waste space or keep them elsewhere. The price point lands somewhere in the